All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is our June 25th Coffee and EVs. So I know we've got some folks traveling and some folks will be catching up on the YouTube video once it's posted, but we do have a few folks here. So we'll go ahead and dive in. I pulled up a few articles like I normally do, and there was really big news that hit right here at the end of the day in the EV world. And I didn't even, I've been out, I had run some errands after work and I just saw it when I got back a few minutes ago. Let me pull it up here. And James, so you'll probably like the result of this. I think you're a Rivian stockholder.
Oh yeah, that's it's pretty awesome. I heard about it secondhand as well, like after the fact.
Yeah, so Volkswagen and Rivian are teaming up. And actually, I've always kind of thought this when Volkswagen announced that they were bringing back the Scout off-road brand and making it a pure EV brand, and they're building them, I think, in South Carolina. I always thought, why would Volkswagen want to start from scratch on an off-road vehicle brand? It's like they should just team up with somebody like Rivian. Rivian's already kind of blazed a trail with some of their vehicles, and so Volkswagen apparently likes what they see with Rivian, and especially what Rivian's doing with software. And software has been like the Achilles heel of Volkswagen. So maybe it'll be a good team up. Rivian and their software chops, and a lot of their hardware, but also Volkswagen with their deeper pockets and long experience in mass manufacturing. So could be a good thing for both companies. I don't know if I just didn't know if anyone else had seen that. If anybody had any thoughts.
Had not seen it, but I was busy today doing other things. So,
And I think there was a few different articles, and one of them mentioned something about the second generation Rivian vehicle. So the new R2, which is what's pictured here, the R2 and the R3. So I don't know, there might be some more going on, more than just software. I don't know that we know all the particulars of the deal yet. That should be interesting.
I think there was $1 billion up front, and then the rest of it over next 2 years or something like that.
Something like, yeah, it was a phased kind of thing. So I just kind of skimmed over some of the articles, but yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get some more details in the next few days. But anyway, I think it's good news for Rivian. Rivian's an American company building their vehicles in Illinois at the old Chrysler Mitsubishi plant in Illinois. So always a good thing for an American company, team up and get a cash infusion and hopefully deliver some of these next generation vehicles. I think we just had somebody else join. Is it Greg?
looks like.
Hey, Greg.
Yep, that's me.
We were just talking about the Volkswagen Rivian announcement.
Oh, awesome. I saw where Rivian did something today to cut their costs, and they were going to improve their bottom line, hopefully be profitable by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's been their goal. I've seen some of the articles on a lot of the changes that they made to the existing R1 series vehicles to try to reduce cost and make them less expensive to manufacture, reduce labor time, and all that stuff. So a lot of nice improvements on efficiency and cost cutting. I mean, cost cutting and things, smart cost cutting, where you make like one of the things they showed was that they had eliminated a lot of the wiring in the vehicle by making some smarter innovations in the way they were wired. So you need less wiring, so less cost, less labor to install it. A lot of cool stuff like that. All right, James,
Yeah,
I see that.
Something else where they were going to install the new R2 line in their existing factory instead of building a new one. They're going to save like $2 billion by doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, they've still got the Georgia plant on kind of standby, but yeah, they wanted to start production of the next generation vehicles in Illinois. So they saved some money up front without having to put that into the Georgia plant. And I think they also got some additional capital incentives from Illinois for continuing to expand that plant.
Well, you're just confirming my faith in purchasing some shares of Rivian in my IRA.
There you go. All right. So that was one thing I'd seen late today. This other one I thought was kind of interesting too. I don't know if anybody's got any thoughts on airless tires. And I know I've seen these in use on, usually you see it on like lawn equipment and off-road construction equipment and some smaller stuff. So I thought, and I know they've been working on them for cars for years, but I guess they must be getting a little closer if they're actually having some talks with manufacturers.
Some kind of solid material in them or what?
Yeah, it's like solid reinforced ribs inside to carry the weight of the vehicle instead of pneumatic pressure. Now, I know they look kind of funny with the exposed ribs in a lot of these pictures, but I believe that I've read that they'll be available either with the open rib design, if you like that, which I don't really care for, or a closed design, so you actually wouldn't see the ribbing inside, but there would be no air inside. So flat tires could be a thing of the past.
And they have some kind of bounce to them?
Yeah. I mean, they do. They're trying to emulate a pneumatic tire, so that curved rib design is like a springy feature.
A lot fewer flats, huh?
Yep. That's why you usually see them on like small construction, like end loaders and bobcats and things like that, or lawn equipment, because they're worried about flat tires on construction sites and stuff with pneumatic tires. So this takes some of that out of it.
They might be good for off-roading.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm sure they'll probably have different applications, different tread designs and specifications.
I can imagine that if you have those ribs in a certain area, run over something and break a couple of them, then you're going to have quite a thumping as it continues on if the rest of the ribs are doing okay. So
yeah, I'm sure there will be some teething pains and lessons learned on some of the early ones.
Sure, and they'll still have at times mechanic, and of course the tread's probably going to still wear down, so that's not going to change. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think it's fine with me because I just as soon not have to worry about flats on a vehicle I don't have a spare for.
Yeah, and I think I've had more punctures on my Teslas than I've had on any other vehicle I've ever owned. Just bad luck.
Yeah.
No blowouts, fortunately, just slow leaks, and then you have to make time to go get it patched.
Oh boy.
And I mentioned this as right before we were starting the call. We were talking about the aircraft orders. But anyway, I saw this and thought this was interesting. CATL pushing their high density batteries, power density batteries for aircraft. And so they're looking at like 12 to 1,800 miles, which I've always read that for electric commercial aircraft, that they would probably be used for regional flights, like, Charleston to Atlanta kind of stuff. So that you've got plenty of buffer, but you could replace a lot of fossil fueled regional flights with electric aircraft. But CATL is one of those companies that's really kind of pushing the boundaries of battery density and design, along with what's the other one? CATL and BYD and CATL will make their own batteries.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I had brought up or tagged just for the folks on here who have solar, if you haven't participated in the National Solar Tour, that's also coming up in early October. So if you'd like to sign up for that and make your house available for, you set the date and it's on a given weekend. You set the like a Saturday or Sunday on that weekend and the time period, like 2 or 3 hours that you're willing to let folks come over and take a look at your system and answer questions. So it's kind of like National Drive Electric Week for solar, except they come to your house. So if you're interested in that, it's just nationalsolartour.org. So you can sign up on there and say you're interested in participating and list the details about your solar system and your house. And if once you do all that, they'll put a pin on the map so people can sign up to come see your house on the date and time that you've volunteered. Like here's the map. They don't have a lot of folks signed up yet, but there's a few. I'll tell you, I know who that guy is in the Eastern Panhandle.
I'll have to get a guy in Charleston to do it.
Yeah, see if you guys can come up with a guy in Charleston and a guy down near Beckley there, John, and couple. I think we've got a couple guys in Charleston who could do it, or Charleston area anyway.
Yeah, and Taylor Mills could do Ripley.
Could do Ripley, yeah.
And he might get some business from it too.
Yeah, if you got folks who are interested in solar and willing to come out and take a look at a system.
I keep telling people I know, anybody that's interested, I'm super happy with my system.
And by the time this actually occurs, there's usually a lot more dots on the map as we get closer to October, but we're still a few months out, so it hasn't. A lot of folks haven't signed up yet. All right, so there's my tour or my plug for the National Solar Tour.
How many years has it been going on? Do you know, Robert?
I don't know how many it's been going on, but I think I've been doing it since 2018.
Okay.
So at least, 5-6 years. And you can also, it is solar focused, but you can also list other things that you have available as part of your tour. So like electric vehicle charging's on there. So you can also show off your EV and your EV charging. If you have battery storage, you could list that. So all the different, technologies that if you've got available, you list those, and folks may want to come and take a look at them. All right, well, I'm going to stop sharing. Mm-hmm. That was just a few headlines I'd picked out to kind of kick off things. Anybody else have news items or personal things going on, questions, issues?
Well, I sent you a text about mine this past week.
The Cybertruck.
I got my Cybertruck reservation if I want to buy a Foundation Series, but I said, nah, I don't have an extra $120,000 laying around, so probably not.
Well, I can say in the past week, we went to the beach last week for a couple days. So I left Martinsburg and drove to Lewis, Rehoboth area, and then we drove down to Ocean City, Maryland, and spent the night in Ocean City at a hotel there on the strip in Ocean City, and then drove all the way back, and there was no charging on the road. That was all. I just did hotel charging, so I was able to drive over still had 20-some% left, and then charged at the hotel, did our driving around, then we drove back. So it was a free fuel vacation. And then I've been driving around. I was off last week doing errands and things, and I did a couple Home Depot mulch runs and, all the other miscellaneous stuff. I think I'm up to about 700 miles in the past week. And all of that's free fuel, so I love it. Another plug for solar.
Absolutely. I guess Greg, do you have solar?
You're on mute, Greg.
I don't have solar. I have a 240 plug in my garage, but about 60-70% of the time I just take advantage of all the free charging that's in my work and home area. There's so many free chargers around here that I really hardly ever have to even plug in at home anymore.
Yeah. Where are you located?
Taze Valley.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
Yeah,
Thornton
there's like 6 of them here in the valley. There's 4 of them at that Hampton Inn. There's Wendy's. There's Meeks Rentals. And then up in South Charleston is like where Thornton is, man, it's like the Mecca. You got like 11 or 12 of them there, just all over the place. And then I have a plug at work that I can use when I work night shift because the security guys let me park close to the building where the plug is.
Okay, so they don't have chargers at work, but you've got a plug you can use.
Yeah, there's actually a 240 plug at work that they don't use anymore. That they had a heavy utility device plugged into it, and it went dormant. And one of the anesthesiologists there, who had a Tesla, went into administration and was raising Cain about how he was promised he could charge his car whenever he came to work there. And so they gave him access to that 240 plug, and then he got transferred out of state. He left, and so I kind of inherited it.
That's a good deal.
Congratulations. Well, that brings up the story of when Eric was on the AT, the last 2 places in North Carolina and Georgia that we met him, we were quite a ways away from superchargers. And so we were carefully looking at where we thought the dryer was in the units and where the car was going to be parked to see whether what we had on board would work. And the first one, we were able to just use the regular cord and the mobile charger out the window. And then the second one surprised us. We figured, well, we're going to have an extension cord. It had a little RV charger right next to where we parked the car.
All right.
Yeah, we lucked out there.
Hey, Amanda.
Yeah.
Hi.
Actually, I did want to get into a couple of recent events. I know I was hoping John Ayers might be on, or was somebody here at the Parkersburg event?
I didn't make it, unfortunately. I talked to John, and he said he had enough Model 3s that I could be excused. I'm going to try to make it next year.
I didn't know if anybody could give us sort of a quick overview of how the Parkersburg event went. I know it was super, super hot that day.
Oh, yeah.
So that probably did not help attendance at the festival. I don't know what it was down there, but that Saturday was the hottest day up here. It was right at 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Oof,
I
can
imagine people would come and look at it, and then if whoever's car it was probably was in the car taking cool, so he did his talks inside the car.
Yeah. Well, and Amanda, I know you've been doing a couple of car shows. You want to give us sort of a, I know you sent out an email about it, but just sort of a rundown of any stories or anything you've run into at the car shows, how you've been received?
It varies from county to county. The most answered asked questions were, do you like it? And how, what's your range? And, just giving them the specs on it. And most people are interested once you actually get out and talk to them about it. And I always tell them, I said, if nothing else, consider a hybrid, if they're not going to change their mind about it. But I think, and they're interested in seeing it and learning more about it. So I think the more that we do this, the more that we go out and we're in the public and answer the questions. A lot of people, you guys would fit right in. They're like, oh yeah, I know so-and-so has a Tesla. And I'm like, this is not Tesla. But I said, all the guys I know have Teslas, but this is not a Tesla. But and they'll go, oh yeah, I know so and so has a Tesla, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't know anything about Teslas, but I could answer all the questions I have about Ford. But you guys would fit right in about, answering questions about Teslas. So.
And I try and make a point of when I talk about my car about EAA and that we're a group that works with everybody, hybrids included, plug-in and everything. So
as long as it has a plug.
I ran into a guy in Fairmont at the Fairmont Car Show. His name is Terry Carpenter. Has anyone ever heard of him?
mm-mm.
No. He gave me a whole list of things. He doesn't do online. I said, oh, we meet once a month, and I gave him our information and stuff. I said, you should really consider listening in on us and joining us. But other than that, he was the only guy I've ever seen that he had a Tesla. So, and it was an older model. It had the DeLorean doors.
Oh, it was a Model X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Falcon doors.
Yeah. So, but he was calculating. He was showing me the calculations on his MPGE, and I was like, wow, okay.
Well, when I do send out these recordings, even if folks can't participate or don't have time or whatever, they are posted on YouTube. So if you had an email address or something, you could always drop him or forward the email with the YouTube link in it.
Yeah, I actually stumbled onto a car show by accident in Milton. Apparently, they have one there I think it's the third Friday or the fourth Friday of the month, all through the summer and into the fall. And I was down there at there's a restaurant there called the Venetian, and right across the street from it is DC America, which has 2 free level 2 chargers. So I parked there and charge and go eat dinner and then drive home. And I saw the car show and I just kind of just eased into it. And I was the only electric car there, the only one. And everybody looked like they'd never seen a Tesla before at all. They just acted like it was something completely new to them. And then when I opened the frunk, they're like, where's the motor?
That's a lot. To get that a lot. Well, I didn't know Ford made an electric.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are your motors? I get a lot of strange questions, but I mean, just answering the specs on them, and I think thanks, Mr. Hamilton, for sending the information on the new car, all electric. What is it with the solar? What was that?
Oh, Aptera.
Aptera, yes. I've shared some of that information with them. People were like, wow. So they're interested. And I think, slowly but surely. And there's a Cars and Coffee in September. I'm hoping you guys get to come down or come this way to North Central in Bridgeport. There's one on Saturday night and one on Sunday afternoon. And that one is specific for EVs. So I'm hoping you guys could come that way.
Is it the car? I was looking at my calendar, the Cars and Coffee on September 8th, and I guess maybe the previous night, the 7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be Saturday evening and then Sunday afternoon. I think it's like from noon to something.
I've got 12:30 to 3. Well, that's probably not the time. Never mind. Don't pay attention. That's just where I've got it on my calendar. I'm not sure I've got the time. But one little enticement for people to bring their cars is you get a keychain.
Right. But I keep going to the car shows and they keep asking me to come to others. So I'm kind of booked, but and I didn't get to go to Parkersburg. I really wanted to go, but I had a death. A friend died, so I had to go to the funeral, and I apologize to John for not being able to make it. But yeah, I think the more word we out there to spread, the greater.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just from a public education standpoint, just exposing people to it, and it's not some weird California thing. These things do exist in West Virginia, and people in West Virginia do drive them, and do just fine with them.
Right.
And we drive them in all kinds of weather, and we travel with them, and
Right.
It's just like a normal car.
And I tell them, it might not be for everybody, but this one works for me, and I love it.
Did you say September 7th?
That's a Saturday evening.
Yeah, WVU has a home game that Saturday at 6 p.m.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Well, either Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Sunday, you can make the Sunday afternoon one. There.
Well, if I come up and go to the game and spend the night with my son, yeah, I might be able to swing that. But
There you
he's got to
go.
let me know. He's going to let me know what games he's got tickets to this year.
Oh, that's a good one.
We'll keep reminding us, Amanda, and then definitely as we get closer to that, if you want to send out an email to the group and remind folks that we have it, and if you're going to sort of shepherd folks and let them know where it's at, and that all the vehicles are welcome. And would there be any limit on the number? Would we be concerned if any, like how many show up or anything like that?
No, the first one I went to the end of April, and I got a horrible sunburn. There were over close to 300 cars in
Wow.
in the Hobby Lobby parking lot. On that was a Sunday afternoon. On Saturday evening, they're at a different location. I want to say Med Express, but I'll have to look into that. It's still up on Bridgeport Hill, but I'm not exactly sure. I've never been to one on the Saturday evenings, but yeah, there's not that many EVs around. So yeah, it'd be great to have you guys.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
There was some talk about having a in-person EVs and coffee at the Hayes Valley this Saturday. I don't know.
Do you have one this Saturday?
Rick had posted. He said we had a very small number interested in live EVs and coffee at Hayes Valley. That's at the Panera Bread there. And
so you're talking about the 29th, this coming Saturday?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
So the 29th, this coming Saturday is what Rick is proposing?
Saturday, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that.
I'll probably go on down. Marty was posting about it, and I guess there hasn't been an official event created on Facebook for it, but
maybe we can get that guy that owns the Cybertruck in Tays Valley to show up.
Good.
When
Do
did
you know
Rick?
about him?
Does anybody know who owns the Cybertruck?
Well, John sent out the email, said he met the people in Columbus when they were picking it up. And I have seen it twice now driving around. And other people have told me they've seen it at the Scott Depot Kroger and going up and down. My buddy called me one night, said he saw it going up Tays Valley Road toward Hurricane. So I know it's around here somewhere.
I saw one in Mill Creek where I worked. It was actually parked across the road at the gas station. And there's a hotel there. So I don't know if they may be just visiting the snowshoe area. I'm not sure.
I saw my first one in person yesterday. I mean, not real close up, but I saw it, in real life. That's the first one I've seen. They do stand out.
That's for sure. Did you see the guy on there was one site where the guy had his polished to a mirror shine.
Mirror finish. Yeah.
Like, man, that would be dangerous.
Yeah. And there was a fellow who we saw at the Tesla store, I'll call it, in Columbus on the 11th of May, picking Eric up at the airport. Anyway, he had wrapped it in blue. It really looked cool. I think I talked about it.
Yeah, you actually showed some pictures, I think, on the last meeting. Yeah, it did look cool.
Sweet.
So if somebody wants, like Greg, I'm not sure if you were on that call. You can go back to that recording and see the pictures.
Yeah, I think I was working midnight shift that week.
There you go.
Nice.
Here's the mirror finish one.
Yeah.
And you can tell what car it is in the reflection on the door.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think on the other picture. Yeah, yeah, that's a head turner. Although I've seen some chrome wrapped other trucks. Usually they're big like Fords or Chevys, and they do a chrome mirror chrome wrap on them. I don't really care for it, but hey, some people apparently like it.
I kind of like the black matte wrap that I saw on one of the websites.
Mm-hmm.
But blue would probably be pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about vehicles on the charging front. Any new chargers out there that folks should be aware of? Anybody running across anything new, dealers or other places?
Well, yes, Chevrolet's got theirs working now at the Hurricane exit. It's a fast charger.
CCS, I'm sure.
It still has a CCS plug on it, but it seems to be working okay now.
September. They said the adapters are coming in September, so we'll see.
I drove by some ad today. It said Comax and an EV charger. Does anyone know what that's about?
Which one, Thornton?
Comax, Comax, like they have photocopiers and stuff.
Oh, right there in South Charleston on D Street.
Yeah, but I saw a billboard that said, and I think it said Comax, and it talked about EV charging. And I said, what do the two have to do with each other?
Yeah, really. I mean, the only thing they're right up the block from the mound, and there's 2 free chargers at the mound.
Well, that's
the only thing I think of.
That might be it.
That might be it. They might be trying to draw business in, but yeah.
Well, the city of Hinton has a DC fast charger, although I don't know, it's 65 kilowatt or what it is. But
did they get that one running?
Well, they have it in a crate, sitting there. And the first place they were going to install it, the power company wanted $50,000 extra to run the triple phase over to it. So they finally found a place where they're going to put it. That's right by their 911 center, basically, and they'll have 1 or 2 spaces marked for it, I guess. But I don't know what the schedule is for getting it put in. But I don't know whether Taylor's going to do it or who is. But it's. I just talked to a commissioner last night, and he said that they've approved the site anyway. So that's good. They do have a level 2 up and running, and they're not really publicizing it's on PlugShare. It's in talk at the John Henry Park, but they're not publicizing it. And it's kind of, somebody might get snake bit charging there, but it's up and running, and it's so far it's free, but they're going to put a charge on it. And these were funded by Rural Reimagined, Tennessee Tech University.
And John, were you in that thread with Marty about the Fayetteville one?
Yeah. And I was there and checked it out. It's the one from Chip Pickering, but
they were putting like a $5 per session.
Yeah, it was like $5 or something to do anything. And it's through this honk program that's like basically a parking program where you don't need a parking meter, but you have to pay online to park, and they can do that with EV chargers too. So I don't think many people use it, but it's there for emergencies anyway.
Yeah. Oh, Scott, so you found it. So Comax is actually just reselling EV chargers now?
Yeah, it looks like it. Let me go down. Whoops, I can't do it on this where it's on the screen, but there we go. Once people have read most of that, I'll go to the next page.
Yeah, I guess this looks like I think everybody's trying to get into this into the business of providing charging equipment. And speaking of charging equipment and NEVI, I believe Marty mentioned in at least in passing, that the scuttlebutt anyway, the rumor is that West Virginia will be releasing its NEVI RFP in the next month. Now, just releasing the RFP is still a long process to actually get it awarded and the equipment installed and all that. But it would be a good positive step to see them move forward and get that RFP published. And for those who think that we are last, we are not. There are about 17 other states that have not published as of a couple weeks ago anyway, there were about 17 states that had not published an RFP. And a couple of those were really big states too, like Florida and South Carolina. So West Virginia is not the last state. We're in the bottom group, but it is kind of surprising not to see some other states like South Carolina and Florida a little more moving a little faster. But again, you get some politics involved. And
so, what's RFP stand for?
Request
for proposal.
They're probably dragging their feet, Robert, because both those states have Buc-ee's locations, and they got tons of chargers at those places.
Well, we'll see what happens, but yeah, there were several states, and some of the other states are more. They're kind of in West Virginia's boat. More rural states like North Dakota and Wyoming and Montana and places like that. Yeah. So you can they're not fighting at the bit to install things. And a lot of these states, you got small departments of transportation, and they don't really have a lot of experience with this kind of program. They're not familiar with electric vehicle charging and running a project like this. So it is kind of unfortunate. I know the feds had their reasons for sending the money to the states and letting the states do this, but now you get 50 different flavors of requirements and proposals, and vendors have to meet different objectives for every single state, versus a larger national rollout would have said, hey, you're going to put them on interstates and they're going to be 1 mile from the exit and they're going to meet these standards. And so then vendors could basically just copy and paste what they're doing in other locations, but they can't really do that. So there's more red tape, more bureaucracy, more regulation, more forms, more delay. But that's government.
More federalism.
Yeah.
More federalism. I'm pro federalism. I think it's important that we give some.
I'd like to just see them.
Pros and cons.
Well, just like to see them on the interstate rest areas. That would cover a lot of the state right there.
Well,
free on I-79.
But we learned that they're not allowed to put them, right, Robert, the rest area?
That is what Perry said, that they aren't allowed. That is considered vending, and vending is controlled in those because it's part of the federal highway right-of-way in those rest areas, that there is rules and regulations about that. However, but there are vending machines. I think if you wanted to get creative about it, and if the feds were running this program, I bet you there is a way to do it if you really wanted to do it.
Yeah, it's in the national interest.
And the feds are putting up the money. And if the feds needed to change a rule somewhere, then I think they could probably change a rule.
Unless it gets politicized.
Yeah.
I have a question. Where is, I understand the money's coming from the federal government, but where does the money go? Does it go to the company who installs the chargers then?
The money is, first of all, it's coming to each state. So West Virginia Department of Transportation
Got that.
got a bucket of money,
Yeah.
and they're getting money every year for 5 years.
Right, got that.
The state is going to put out a proposal, and then companies are going to bid on it.
Right.
Say, we want to put, we think we can put these chargers for this much money in these locations.
Right. So when we pull up to them to charge, where is that money going? Back to the company? Or is it going?
The chargers will be operated by the company that's bidding.
Okay.
And
Now, the feds aren't fully funding this either. The feds are providing about 80%.
I know you guys mentioned DC America. That's mostly for Teslas, right?
No.
No?
It can handle all of them.
No, the ones in Milton are both J772 plugs.
Okay. Can you guys send me a list of those companies? Because like I am like oblivious to them. I've never seen them. The only ones I have seen are at dealerships, so I don't know anything about any of these companies.
So about like ChargePoint and Blink
I do have-
and EVgo and all those.
I do have PlugShare,
Yeah.
but I mean, again, I don't know anything about them, and I can't tell the difference between them. So, it'd be
Well,
nice-
and part of that's not really. I mean, part of it is we just don't have a lot of them in West Virginia. Period. I mean, ChargePoint. I think there's just the two in South Charleston. Well, there might be a couple of others now, but there's not very many across the whole state, especially fast chargers.
Yeah, there's a hidden one in South Charleston also. You got the two at Joe Holland Hyundai there that are pay, and then there's another one that's down just a little bit further down the parking lot near the service door. That's a free ChargePoint charger, level 2.
But it's level 2, not fast charger. The other two charge points at Joe Holland though are CCS fast chargers.
yeah, I've used those.
Use those, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
so Amanda, there's not a lot of those companies in West Virginia right now, unfortunately.
well, the reason I ask is because I took the information to a local politician, and we were looking into it. He's like, "Well, you know, who do I contact? I mean, you know, what company?" And I'm like, I have no idea. Besides DC America, I don't know anything out there. So, if we could, maybe you guys could put a list together, that'd be great.
Here
So I
comes one.
Yeah, I don't guess Electrify America or EVgo have anything in West Virginia.
I
Do they?
don't believe
Yeah.
so.
Have you heard of one called Flow, FLO?
Yep, heard of them.
Okay, they're at Walker Chevrolet in Nitro, right off the exit there, and they have a
And
CCS.
Amanda, one good expert on the non-Tesla charger locations, I think, is Rick Walker.
Okay.
And so together with what I put up, which is just a list of, I just found it, of charging networks in the U.S. And I can page down this if anybody's interested. In what
Blink.
the other
I've heard
ones
of
are.
Blink.
Yeah, ChargePoint and Blink are a couple of the big ones. And Electrify America, we don't have any of those in West Virginia. So those are some of the real common ones.
I think there's a Blink at the hotel there off the Hurricane exit, Wingate Hotel, I think it's called, by Wyndham.
And Amanda, you did see my emails about the funding opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I sent to him, and we were discussing it. And he said, well, he was very interested in doing it. In fact, he had looked into it several years ago, but where to put it, one, and how to maintain it, and where to get, you know, the obviously the funding for it, and who to maintain it. So I would say, I said the company, whatever company or charger that you go with, would probably, you know, they would
Yeah,
get-
generally the company. Well, there can be different arrangements, but I think for the most part, the biggies like EA and Blink and some of those, they kind of own the chargers and they maintain them and all that. And the host, the person who has it on their property, is considered the host, and they generally just get a cut of what the revenue from the charger. But the company who it's branded under their name, they're the ones who are operating it and maintaining it.
Okay.
And that may not be 100% of the time, but that's generally the arrangement. Because most folks, like you're saying, you know, if it's a small city, town, whatever, they're not going to have the folks that can maintain and understand and keep up with maintenance and operation on one of those things.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to, unless anybody wants to see this more, I'm going to stop sharing, but this will be part of the record. And
Actually, Scott, why don't you take that link and maybe drop it in the chat, just so in case Amanda needs it.
I'll do that right now. And I'll also note what the date of this being published is. It's up at the top, I think. So keep talking.
And just, I guess, one other thing on this, Amanda, of course, one of the big the issue driving the cost is whether you're talking like level 2 or DC fast charging. If it's DC fast charging, it obviously gets a lot more expensive.
Right. But I mean, does the host provide the electricity, or does that company do that? Or again,
the company will probably make arrangements to get electricity.
Okay.
And actually, some of those links I sent out, I think like the Mid Atlantic Electrification Partnership, that funding opportunity, I think they already have arrangements with certain vendors. So it's not like you're going to go select a vendor. It's like they're going to say, we're using Blink, and Blink's going to install this. And you're just going to get a host, and you're going to sign a contract that you agree to, provide a parking space and keep the parking space free of snow and debris and, that kind of stuff. And here's your cut of what the revenue is.
I've been getting worried about an issue that Rick Walker brought up about 3 years ago or something, and that's copper thievery. And it's becoming a national issue now. And, supposedly it's, I don't know, $10 to $15 per cable is all they can get out of it, but we have world-class copper thieves here in West Virginia, and they haven't gotten wind of it yet, but, seems like that's enough for them. They pull plumbing out of houses, everything else, with no regard for how much it's worth compared to how much it's worth to the house,
Yeah.
And that's the problem with these chargers. It's like $1,500 to replace a cable that they only get $15 out of or something.
I know it'd be more expensive, but considering cameras, surveillance cameras, wherever or somewhere.
Well, I mean, part of that is also just station design. Where do you put it? It needs to be generally a higher volume, higher traffic density, well-traveled locations, for fast chargers especially. And that's a lot of the news I see about cable theft is usually related to fast chargers, like superchargers and EA stations and things like that. I guess people cut them off level 2s also, but I haven't seen as much. I guess that doesn't get as much outcry as the fast chargers when you pull up and you can't fast charge your car.
The only advantage I can see is if they chop off the CCS cables in about a year or two, and then maybe they can replace them with the Tesla chargers.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky that a lot of the superchargers in West Virginia are at Sheets locations, which are 24/7.
24/7, well traveled. They have cameras covering the parking lot. I mean,
they have a lot of traffic through most of them too. So
some of it is just about choosing the right location to put these things. If you put them out behind the building in the alley, you might have some issues.
You're going to get a haircut.
And what Europe's doing is starting to bring your own cables.
Bring your own cable. Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the new NACS standard for level 2 includes the provision for bring your own cable.
Is that right?
So as NACS gets adopted, if people are, you're following the standard, you could implement a charger that has a removable cable. So you bring your own.
Well, that makes sense when there's different vehicles hooking up that need different length cables too.
Now this would only be for level 2s. We're not talking fast chargers. Yeah. So it wouldn't do anything for fast charging, but for level 2 charging, yeah. And it also avoids some of just the normal mundane problems of people don't hang the freaking cable back up on the charger and it's laying around in the mud and getting stepped on and run over and, everything else, breaking the connector. And so if you don't have that thing laying around, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
That was my big complaint about the Bosch units. They don't have a thing to plug the cord into, keep it from falling on the ground. It just wraps around a little loop there, and it's knocked off a lot.
Well, they're really heavy. They are really heavy. I didn't know they were that heavy until I actually used one.
Well, you might be talking about CCS.
Yeah, CCS, yeah.
Yeah, the CCS.
The one I used at Joe Holland was really, really heavy.
Yeah, that's the CCS.
Those are monsters.
Actually, there was a photo of Jennifer Granholm from the Department of Energy, and she was doing her little road trip for electric vehicles and charging, and it had a picture of her plugging in. It was like the PR photo of her trying to plug the car in, but she looked like she was gripping an anaconda and had a death grip on it, trying to like plug in her car. And it's like, I don't know that you're selling it the best way.
That was probably one of the poorest promotions for electric vehicles ever, and they made them look really incompetent when they did that. Oh my gosh. I think it set us back about 2 years.
EVs, it may be the subject of the presidential debate in 2 days.
Oh, no. No way. Not with Jake Tapper and what's her name moderating. It's going to be January 6th and the conviction. Not to get political.
Heaven forbid that we should get political.
Well, one thing I'll bring up, we've talked in a few previous EVs, and I'll keep it non-political, of just, it seems like we're getting into a lull of EV adoption. I've been thinking about that. I've not come up with any other ideas other than just talk it up when I see people, and if they get any interest in the car when they see it. But a lot less people come up and ask about it than they did 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, it's more routine.
Yeah, there's a lot more of them on the road now. They're not as such a novelty any longer. And as far as new vehicle purchases on the law, I think a lot of it's just economics. I mean, we saw pickup truck sales had declined, and any expensive vehicle with these current interest rates, just it's a challenge right now. So I think if interest rates come back down and the economy keeps going decently, job market stabilizes, we might see a greater pickup, especially if we can drive down the prices on new vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, that's my argument, because everybody always wants to know the MSRP. And I'm like, if you're considering a middle class, middle range car, it is not, for a brand new car, it's not that big of a difference. And they're coming down in price. That's, usually one of my biggest selling points. I was like, it's not that big of a,
And
And there's a tax credit too. So, I mean, that helps.
Oh, and they'll say, yeah, but you're going to need it for your battery. And I said, that's what my warranty's for.
And when they ask about batteries, I point out that there's fleet Teslas that are 15 years old out in California that have 600,000 to 800,000 miles on them. Same battery, original battery, degraded maybe 10%. Go ahead.
I tell them that. Yeah, I tell them that. As the research is, showing that they're lasting longer than 10 years, and my car will last out less theirs, and I have no maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, the local Ford dealer in this area now is subsidizing his vehicle purchases. He's offering 0% interest for 72 months on pretty much all the, F-150, the ICE vehicles that sell the biggest, So.
Well, I mean, so Ford was one of those that had a big hit on their pickup truck sales. So, they got to do something to keep moving the metal.
Which dealer is this, Greg?
Tom Judy up there,
okay.
Charleston. He was advertising with his, how he has his wife and his little kid on there every time. Yeah. He's saying, 0% interest financing for 72 months. So they're really trying to remove some inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah, so trucks have been kind of stacking up along with some other expensive vehicles.
Well, it was nice to pull into the Chevy dealer cross lanes in Beckley, and they have 2 Silverado work trucks. They have 3 Blazers, I think, and haven't gotten the Equinox yet, but pretty interesting to see them all there. And,
all right,
Beckley. Wow.
In Beckley, yeah.
Check that out.
I just really like the Blazer LT. I didn't think I would, but I do. I can't.
I think the Silverado EV looks. If you need a truck and you want to go electric,
yeah, I don't need a truck. It's a big sucker.
It's expensive and it's big, but yeah, it looks nice.
Supposed to go over 400 miles too, I think.
Yeah, the top end battery, I think, does. All right. Well, we're right here at 8 o'clock. Any last minute things before we sign off?
Well, hope to see some of you on Saturday then.
Now, is there really an EV and coffee in person on Saturday? I didn't. I looked back for Rick's note.
Is it posted on Facebook or anything?
Rick had posted something about it, and then there's follow up from Marty and me on it, but there was never an official time set. I suggested 9 o'clock. That's when we used to have them. And I'm willing to be there. Does anyone else want to be there at 9?
Well, it sounded like Greg might be available. Or
yeah.
are you available for 9?
It's my weekend off for a change.
Too far. Sorry.
Well, Larry or Scott, one of you guys send out an email to the group and see if anybody wants to get together, and that way Rick will be aware also. And
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't require much to do. I mean, I did one up here a few weeks ago, and we had 4 or 5 people show up and had coffee and sat around. And talked to anybody who was interested as that walked by.
Okay. Larry, I couldn't find the notes in my email, but I was just kind of off to the side.
Yeah,
If you find
it wasn't an email. It was on Facebook on our group.
Oh,
okay. I don't check
Sounds
Facebook
on
that often. What we ought to do is something to the WVEAA Google groups.
Yeah. Just send out an email to the whole group and I just say, hey, if you guys want to get together and you're available, just say, hey, a few of us are getting together at 9 o'clock at Tays Valley Panera Bread. Come out if you're available.
Yeah. And maybe RSVP so that
people know. Yeah.
So others will know. Okay. I'll go look for it. And between Larry and I, we'll send something out.
Yeah, if you can do it, Scott. I'm not even sure how to send it out on Google.
Okay.
Let's just do it. Say we're going to do it, and
yeah, because you never know who's going to be available and what the weather's going to be. So at some point, you just got to put it out there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming
Robert.
out.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good July. Enjoy the 4th of July holiday, and we'll see everybody at the end of July.
Okay. Great.
man.